All right, y'all. Yeah, saw that video, saw the title, watched it a little bit, and it really brought up something very important. A few things: your relationship with money, your relationship. Is it a healthy relationship? I know there's a lot of people that money doesn't grow on trees, and money is the root of all evil. And I've heard some things where I kind of saw that, it's corrected. Things are corrected. Like, for example, it's not about, money's the root of all evil. It's actually the love of money, right? So do you love it more than people? Do you love it more than God? Do you love it more than, yourself? Are you willing to risk your health, your peace of mind for it? That's basically what it comes down to. And having a good, healthy relationship with it basically allows you to flow with it, be in abundance with it, and shining in God's light with it. You have to definitely, how should I say, create that relationship for sure. It starts with you. It starts with, letting go of some old patterns and, creating a healthier one, a more abundant one that's not operating out of scarcity. And so, yeah, first things first, do you have a good relationship with money? Are you making it well? Are you able to sleep at night? Are you hurting anybody in the process of getting it? So I think that title definitely is very important. The other thing that it made me think about and reflect on is my awareness with it. Definitely my awareness. My awareness with how I spend it, when I tip, how I spend it. Oh, and and what I buy. Am I always asking for discounts? Depending who's selling or what are they giving? Am I paying full price? Am I respecting the value, the craftsmanship of whatever it is I'm buying? Because in the back of my mind, it's like I'm operating out of abundance. I'm operating out of there's enough, there's more to come, there's a flow. Like, I value myself enough to know that if I put value more into the world, there'll be enough for me. And that's an awareness, so you have to ask yourself as well, what's your awareness behind this relationship, this tool, this energy? And is it in God's way? Is it in the Great Spirit's alignment to do this? So that was something that I learned and started implementing, and it's going a lot better. I'm not saying I'm perfect with it, but it's definitely a lot better. And it takes work. It takes work. It takes getting out of that comfort zone. It takes calling yourself out. It takes, catching yourself being hypocritical. It takes, a will to change and say, hey, my old ways are not working. Because the thing is like, if the things that we're doing are working, we'd stay the same. We'd stay the same. But since we want to change, we're looking for something different. We know something within us has to change. Definitely has to change. And it's not easy. We get stuck in our ways, we get stuck in our comforts, we get stuck in these patterns, and it's part of the process. And when you awake, when you realize, and when you want to tune into the universal power, God's blessings and all that, you have to let go of the old you. So last thing with this money relationship with money, your awareness. I would have to say the last one is definitely. Morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Please don't hit me with that.
I won't. You have a good day. So, that's funny how she said that. Don't hit me with that. I would say the last thing would have to be your relationship, your awareness. Yeah, I guess your attitude about it, you know, like, are you in scarcity mode? You know, are you living out of fear? Are you hoarding? And I say that because I'm relating it to our faith. You know, we say we have faith in God and the Lord and the Creator, but then when it's come times to execute, make decisions, when it's time to, you know, walk in it, we don't. You know, and I've caught myself in that manner of like, I have faith. Okay, well, do something out of an act of faith. Oh, well, when the time is right. Oh, right now it's not right. It's raining negativity. You know, I'll wait for the perfect time. And I've been there. It's never a perfect time. It's never gonna be perfect. You just gotta jump. So now in relation with the money category, the money pillar is, are you living in that abundant faith with it, that it comes, there's plenty. You know, you don't gotta hoard it. You don't have to be stingy with it. You can let it flow, you know? And that's something to be aware about because, you know, we'll say one thing, but then our actions are doing something else. I've caught myself. I've had to call myself out. And I'm probably still gonna have to call myself out. You know, I see it in other people, you know, and we all have it. And so I think one of the biggest quantum leaps we could do is catching our ways, catching our habits, our comforts, our cycles, catching these things. It's what allows us to progress to the next level by snapping out of it, by changing something in the pattern and getting a different result. So, yeah, it does take a while, but it does take some work. So, with this video, I'll leave you with this. With your relationship, with your awareness, and with your attitude with this money, energy, tool. You know, some people call it an energy because it's an amplifier. So whoever you are as a person right now, let's say without any money, and you get money, it's gonna amplify who you are. Amplify who you are. If you're angry, mean, disrespectful, irresponsible, it's gonna amplify that. If you're giving, if you're faithful, if you're composed, grounded, disciplined, it's gonna amplify that. So the other thing with the tool, people have said, oh, money's a tool. Yeah, you know, it is a tool because, you know, it could fix certain things. It could maintain certain things. It could uplift others, help others. You know, you can create flow in other areas. And that's needed as well. That's needed. You know, I think that tool does need leaders in order to handle that tool properly. You know, you can't give a skill saw. You can't give certain tools to certain people because they don't know how to handle them. You know, I think, like, for example, forklifts. It's a tool. It's not really a transportation device, but a construction device, warehouse device, tool, and you got to have a license or you got to get some sort of certificate in order to drive some of those, you know, because you could hurt somebody. You know, same thing with certain size trucks. Same thing with certain power tools. You got to be certified. Why? Because you could really hurt yourself and somebody if you don't operate it properly. Well, now I understand why when they told me like money is a tool, you know, he's basically saying it's like you gotta learn how to operate this thing. You know, fix what needs to be fixed, where it needs to go, keep that flow going, keep that cycle going. You know, it's our job, it's our responsibility. But you know, it does take some effort, some leadership, some accountability in order to operate it properly. And you know, I think that's why, you know, they say if it falls into the wrong hands, you know, you'll probably never see that money again. Because people don't know how to be responsible with it. You know, and there's times, yeah, for sure. You know, I raised my hand. I wasn't responsible enough. I had to read some books. I had to change my mindset, change my attitude, change my spending, change my tithing, my tipping, you know, and really have that faith and walk in that faith where it's like, hey, I'm gonna tip more. I'm gonna buy full price. I'm gonna buy from this person here. You know, all these little details I had to change. Why? Because the old way wasn't working. So, back to that title. Yeah, you know, it should be done in God's way for sure. The universal way, the creation's way, the way of the light, in alignment, in alliance. And, you know, it comes with conscious effort. All right, so that's the video for now. On to the next one. Thanks for joining me on this walk and on this category. I'll be uploading another one and we'll go from there. All right, y'all. Peace.